Mr. Norton come for his wife. I was very familiar with my father's routine on those days. He would iron his clothing the night before in the living room with the radio going on about some news in the Gulf. But it was all very distant to him, and you could tell he wasn't listening because he never fixed it when static came through or when there was an advertisement I wasn't supposed to hear. I watched quietly from the crack of my doorway at his precision and care as he perfected the creases of his best shirt and suit under his furrowed surveillance, but didn't say a word or make a sound. Those days he would also iron some littler clothes, my own suit that I used to wear awkwardly for church sometimes, and some pants that he would kneel down and hold up against my waist to measure. I would try to straighten my back then, because it seemed like something that would help him. The following morning, when it was still dark and wet outside, he would get me up, and after half an hour's preparation and breakfast, take my hand as we walked down the street and together witnessed those cool, secret moments of nature. When we'd arrived on the front porch of the old mansion and heard the people and clinking glassware inside, he would kneel down and check my laces and tie one last time, in his eyes a sharp energy. He would stand up then and take a deep breath, then bolt through the door with my hand in his and bound confidently to the farthest room amidst a rich many, with surprised misters and misses everywhere around, looking at us like we were rodents. And when my father reached her, she'd always be facing a different way. The guests around her, finding us, would slowly stop talking. Then the violins would stop playing. Then she, with the force of the entire room on her breath, would turn around. She would look at him, what must have been such a handsome but tragic sight. His beautiful eyes, his steadfast chin and perfect shoes. Everything perfect, but everything gray and damp and heavy. A man standing so straight it must have hurt. And he, from his own place on the rug, would watch her right back, holding his hat and holding my hand, everyone around going quite still. And at this moment that returned a few times each year, she'd always ease her eyes slowly towards me, something in her gaze going fragile, supplicative. And as I watched her search me, I stiffened up, like when my father measured my pants, and tried to look as cold and distant and independent and indifferent as I could. And as I answered her question, her face gave way to age and wisdom and sadness for a few infinite moments, and there were bright lights blinking behind her head as she faded again into some place far away. And all of the sounds around us would slowly return, and so would we, in time, to the road and then home, where I would go back to sleep and think about how happy my father must have been for showing my mother that we didn't need her.